So, I went to Poland. If anyone asks why I went to Poland, it's simple. Rather simple. Half of my family, which means my mom and my brother, wanted to go to Paris for their vacation. I didn't want to go to Paris because I don't like the French. My dad was sitting at home with a bad back, and I suddenly needed something to do. So my dad was like, "Hey, you have a friend in Poland. Why don't you go ask him if you can visit him?" So I asked, "Hey, Silent, how are you? Can I maybe come visit you on Halloween?" And surprisingly, he actually said yes for whatever reason. So I booked my flights, I booked my hotels, and just my general stay in Poland. Until it occurred to me. He said he didn't have time until the 31st of October. So what to do now? Luckily, there's a city called Krakow that actually has an airport I can fly to. And near Krakow is, of course, Auschwitz. And that was always on my bucket list. Turns out you can book tours from Krakow Center to Auschwitz. So I did that. Now, big funny, the Germans are back in Poland and in Auschwitz, but to be honest, Auschwitz was more sentimental to me. I stayed quiet most of the time, only spoke English to not get recognized as a German immediately, and I actually got pretty embarrassed by a small group of Germans in front of the gate to Auschwitz because they decided to discuss why the Polish and French citizens can't speak proper German. Why they decided to have that discussion in front of Auschwitz? I don't know, but I'd very well like the answer to that. Spoiler, it's a bit inappropriate. I didn't take any pictures of Auschwitz because I didn't like the idea of me running around with my cell phone all the time only to take pictures of this gruesome place. I'd much rather kept up with the guide and listened to her. I did buy a book called Auschwitz: A History in Photographs, to revisit the memories and to show my friends and my family as well. And I bought a small coin. So yeah, no photos of Auschwitz I can show you, sadly. We all know what happened there, and that's it. I went to Auschwitz, I learned a lot, I came back to Krakow, and I slept. Or did I? The Krakow nightlife was actually a very nice experience. I really loved the atmosphere on the main plaza, where actually my hotel was located, right next to. I only ate McDonald's for the 2 nights I stayed in Krakow because I wasn't brave enough to run headfirst into the language barrier at a restaurant. And the Big M seemed like the easiest way to get food without much interaction. The old city itself is very beautiful, and I highly encourage you to visit it sometime. So, Tuesday the 31st, I set out to travel to Silent via train, because, well, it was the only option to get there. On my way to the train station, Google Maps apparently switched into superhero mode. Let me explain what that means. Step 1. Walk up a ramp to a big shopping mall parking lot. Step 2. Go to the middle of the balustrade surrounding it. Step 3. Face through 2 solid reinforced concrete floors to arrive at your destination. Step 4. Arrive in a donut shop register. Naturally, I took the elevator down. The trains weren't actually really different from Germany because it was 11th minute late. I got in and we sat there for half an hour. I began to stress out a bit because I saw my time to change trains shrink to 0, then go to the negatives. There was an announcement, but it wasn't Polish. Finally, I broke the general silence and, of course, asked in English, "I don't speak Polish, can somebody explain to me what's going on?" I immediately regretted that decision because everyone stared at me and no one answered. So I came up with a plan. Translate the phrase to Polish via Google Translator, show the Polish version to people in the hopes that someone would answer, and it actually worked. Because a young woman explained to me that the train had technical issues, and it would be around half an hour to fix them. So with around an hour of delay, we finally set off. My changing time in
Rzeszów,
was half an hour, so I witnessed my connecting train. I looked for alternatives, and there were actually 2 viable ones. One departed an hour later and would require me to take 3 different trains, and would arrive at 18:01 instead of the planned 15:50. The other one would depart 3.5 hours later, but it was a singular train ride with a changes and I would arrive at 1807. I took the latter option to not have more mishaps and be stranded somewhere in the middle of the Polish fields. So I waited. I ate something. I browsed Reddit. Then came an announcement in Polish. The automatic announcement wasn't available, and the screen where the info on the next trains would be displayed were currently undergoing renovation and not working. All I understood of the announcement was IC, the prefix of the train I'd have to take. I panicked a bit and looked around for help, because I didn't understand it. Now let me introduce to you the MVP of this train ride. A random Polish woman, in her mid-20s maybe, who was born in England and now studies and lives in Poland. If you're seeing this and plan on visiting Germany, hit me up please, I'll be your guide, I'll pay you. She needed to take the same train, so she let me sit next to her, explain me how the train system worked, and actually was a very nice emotional support. After that, it actually was a smooth ride to Silent City's main station. So at the main station I left the train, rode silent where I was located on the platform, and waited. All of a sudden, a gremlin with a blue jacket, covered face, and a grey hat jumped at me. That gremlin was Silent. It was raining pretty heavily at that point, so we walked to my hotel, he dropped me off, and that was that for the day. That's how I met Senpai Silent for the first time. Looking like a gremlin, jumping around at the train station. The next morning, November 1st, we met up at some point in the morning. Silent gave me the location of his home the afternoon before that, so I made my way halfway there until we agreed to meet up at a park in the middle. Me, being the idiot I am, got confused by 2 bus stations. Luckily, Silent idiot-proofed the way, and we met up anyway. We walked, we talked a lot, he showed me his school, a few places around the city. Then it was time for dinner. At 2 p.m. Don't ask me why Polish people have dinner in the afternoon and supper in the evening, I have no clue. Anyways, he took me to his home and I got to meet his brother and his mother. Silent showed me his room where all the magic of editing happens. Or his throne, or like his parents call it, the swamp. And then it was dinner time. Some kind of schnitzel called schabowy, or schabowy.
Schabowy.
Meat cooked in salt with vegetables, apparently called karkówka midusna sosi.
Karkówka duszona w sosie.
Some potato mash balls, apparently, and rice balls with a salad. It was very tasty, so thank you, Silent's mom. This one goes to you. After dinner, we sat and talked a lot, joked around. I got interrogated by Silent's mom a bit, because why would my parents let me go so far alone, without a care in the world? So we had a few good laughs. A little while later, Silent's brother actually had German homework to do. Naturally, I helped him do it, and apparently looked cute doing it. So Silent's brother... Then came something I was promised for a long time. Pancakes. Polish pancakes. A nice golden color, the pancakes were actually filled with white cheese, then topped with melted chocolate and shredded hazelnuts, then served together with sour cream. Polish pancakes are freaking delicious, let me tell you that much. At around 9 p.m, I made my way back to the hotel with Silent's help. I could even walk in a straight line down the road without giving broadside to any enemy battleships. And then I went off to sleep. Thursday, 2nd November. Woke up. Hello, Editor Jansky here. Before the next part, I actually went out in the morning and got myself some pierogi in a by Silent's mother approved restaurant. Pierogi are little dumplings filled with either cheese or meat, and they are delicious. Baked in a pan, steaming hot, they are freaking delicious. Met with Silent, got around 1 kilogram of sweets, of Polish sweets, and a Bismarck, which put my final carrying weight to over 10 kilograms. 8 were allowed on the plane. And then we set off to the Sitters concentration camp. Really not much to say. I didn't take any pictures again. I felt pretty shit for what happened there, because it was a pretty fucked up shit. So it was actually a great guide. Sadly we had to leave early because they were closing. We were there for 4 out of 7 hours. The camp was open for tourists, apparently. And ended the day by me slapping silent. Friday, the 3rd, I woke up at 7, tried, and failed. To sleep until 8, finalized my bags for the flights home, and left the hotel. My bus was scheduled at 11:40. I sat there at 10:40. Nervosity is a bitch. After standing in the cold for an hour, I got my bus, went to the airport, and waited another 2 hours and 30 minutes for our flight. I had a very relaxed flight to Warsaw, got my other flight, which left a bit late, and then flew back to Germany. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my trip to Poland. In its entire glory. So, thank you very much for Silent for having me. Shout out to Lot Polish Airlines for actually being on time sometimes. And actually having a nice flight crew. And yeah. I hope you stick around on the channel, enjoyed this video, and say hi to Silent. I'll link his channel in the video description. Yeah, she does great stuff.